2, go.
Okay.
Introduce yourself quick.
So I'm Dr. Martin Ronis. I'm the Associate Director of the Arkansas Children's Nutrition Center in Little Rock.
All right, and what do you think we're dealing with right now? What's the latest news on soy and its potential feminizing story in males, whether there's any truth to that or not?
Well, I just presented the latest findings from our studies here at the experimental biology meetings, and we've looked at that very question in both soy-fed prepubertal rats, which are species that make the most estrogenic isoflavone metabolite, equol, and in neonatal piglets. Because from our perspective as a Children's Nutrition Center, the most important question is whether there's any indication of feminization in little boys that are fed soy formula as babies. And we use a neonatal piglet model for that, in which we actually feed the actual formulas themselves, as opposed to most of the toxicology studies that are out there that have used pure isoflavones like genistein. And we've done a comprehensive analysis of testicular morphology and the steroid hormones and gene expression analysis in the testes of these piglets. And we've used positive controls where we feed these animals estradiol, or we feed them pure genistein. And basically what we see with soy infant formula is not much. We see that the overlap between estrogen signaling and signaling associated with soy is less than 10% of the genes. And we see that there are no real morphological changes in the testis associated with soy formula feeding. There's a small increase in germ cell number, but that's probably actually quite good because that would actually increase fertility rather than decrease it. There are no effects on serum testosterone concentrations associated with feeding of soy neonatally with soy infant formula in these male piglets. And that goes along with studies that we've done looking at soy formula fed kids. We have a beginning study that's the largest longitudinal study of breast versus formula-fed infants in the world, and we published a paper in Journal of Pediatrics last year showing that looking at male reproductive organs using ultrasound, we find no effects on organ size. So at least in our hands, we see no evidence of reproductive toxicity associated with feeding of soy products.
What do you think we're at worst case scenario with mature males in their endocrine prime as far as their testosterone and growth hormone and the things related to recovery and their use of soy protein products? Is there any chance that a percentage of them could express strongly enough to have feminizing effects?
It's highly unlikely. When we look at the gene pathways analysis, even in species that make equol, which is the most estrogenic of the isoflavones, the overlap between estrogen signaling and soy is 10%. And the pathways that are affected are not reproductive pathways. They're not pathways that are involved in steroidogenesis. There are a subset of genes that appear to be regulated, but they're nothing to do with reproduction.
So the idea that athletes that use soy protein powders or bars would have to suddenly go get a measured up for a bra is not true.
I think it's fairly laughable.
Well, it's good to hear it from somebody who knows. I sure appreciate your time.
You're welcome.